All right, so we've been doing area of circles, but now we're going to do different shapes here, okay? This is from your STAR reference chart, but I want you to add some things to this, okay? So our triangle, we have the formula for a triangle is A is equal to 1/2 BH. I want you to rewrite that equation for me. It's going to be A equals to base times height over 2. Okay, I don't want you to use this one. I want you to use base times height over 2. It's the exact same thing. The only thing I'm taking away is the 1. Okay, and if you remember, our triangles can look like this, it could be backwards. As long as it has 3 points, that is our triangle. The rectangle or a parallelogram, you're going to use this formula right here. A is equal to base times height. Okay, our rectangles, we know what this looks like, but our parallelograms, it's kind of like a rectangle but kind of slanted. So it kind of just looks like that. Okay. The trapezoid just looks like this. I want you to write these so that you can see whatever shape they give you, you can be like, oh, that's a trapezoid, or oh, that's a rectangle. Okay. This formula looks really complicated, so I'm just going to give you, I want you to write the formula like this instead so that we don't get confused. Again, the only thing I'm taking away is just the 1 on top. So it's going to be parentheses base 1 plus base 2, close your parentheses, times height, and then divide the whole thing by 2. Okay, don't use this formula because it's going to confuse you. And then the circle, we know what a circle looks like. Okay, our formula right here for area of a circle is going to be pi r squared, but we don't use that. What we're going to use is A equals to pi times r times r. Okay, remember, then for pi, use 3.14, and then you're just going to find your radius. Okay, remember, radius is half, and then the diameter is all the way across. Okay, there is one more formula. I want you to put a line here when it's a half a circle, a semicircle. Okay, when we're talking about a semicircle, the formula you are going to use is A equals to pi times r, but you're going to divide the whole thing by 2 because it's half a circle. You cut it in half, so you're going to divide it by 2. Okay, so let's look at the first example here. It says, what is the area of a semicircle? So my semicircle, I'm already using this formula right here. So I'm going to go ahead and write it. A equals to pi times r. I'm going to divide the whole thing by 2. And now I need to find my diameter and my radius. Okay, I'm going to look right here. It says if I start from one end of the circle to the other end, it's going to be 10. That is my diameter. So 10 centimeters is diameter. And I still need to find the radius to plug in my formula. If you remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So I should be dividing by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I just found my radius. Go ahead and circle that for me. That is the number you're going to be plugging in your formula. It's asking for r. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my number now. A equals to 3.14 times 5 times 5. And then I'm going to divide it by 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solve the top part first. 3.14 times 5. I'm going to do that on the side. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, I have two numbers behind the decimal, so that means I'm gonna add it here. So I got 15.70. I still gotta multiply by 5 again. So I'm gonna multiply 15.7 times 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 3 is 28. And 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So I got two numbers behind the decimal, so I'm going to add that decimal right here. So I'm still not finished. All I did was the top part. Now I need to divide by 2. So 78.50 divided by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down the 8. 2 goes into 18 9 times. I'm going to add my decimal, and I'm going to subtract by 18. I'm going to bring down the 5. 2 goes into 5 2 times, minus 4. And then I have to bring down that 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Okay. So my answer is 39.25. So I'm just going to put that up here. A equals to 39.25. And I'm going to add my measurement, cm squared. Box your answer. Okay. My decimals, people, of course, you don't have to do this long process. You just put this in a calculator. 3.14 times 5 times 5. And then divide it by 2. Okay, so you're going to do the next one. Again, this says, what is the area of a semicircle? You're already knowing your formula is right here for a semicircle. So it's going to be A equals to pi times r divided by 2. Okay? So make sure you find your radius and your diameter. If you don't know what that is, remember, look over here. Radius is half of the circle and diameter is the whole all the way across. Okay, turn it over on the back. So now we got some triangles. It says, what is the area of the figure below? Well, that figure, I can see it's a triangle. So I need my formula for a triangle. Alright, the formula for a triangle we said was A is equal to base times height divided by 2. I'm going to write my formula down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my numbers. This is your base. It's the bottom of the triangle. Think of it that way. And my height is right here. Okay, height, think of it as if you go to the doctor, when they measure your height, you have to be standing straight, because if you're not, they're not gonna do the correct height. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my numbers. I know what my base is. It's going to be 8, and then times height, which is 9, and then divided by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that math. 8 times 9 is 72, divided by 2. I'm going to do the math on the bottom here. So 2 divided by 72. We got 2 goes into 7 3 times, minus 6. And then 2 goes into 12 6 times. Okay, so my area is 36. My measurement, yards squared. Make sure you put your measurements in your little tool up here that's called square. You have to write that down. Alright, the next one, you are going to do example 4. It says, what is the area of the figure? Again, this is a triangle, so you're going to write down your formula first, and then you're going to plug in your numbers. Okay, so it's very similar to example 3. We just did example 3. Example 5, it says, what is the area of the figure below? Remember, I gave you what a trapezoid looks like. It's right here. Okay, so that's the formula we're going to use. So let's go ahead and write our formula. A is equal to base 1 plus base 2, and then you're going to multiply that times your height, and you're going to divide the whole thing by 2. Okay, so I just wrote down my formula. Now, since this is the first time we're really seeing this, I'm going to label all of my sides here. Okay, my base 1 is usually going to be at the top of the figure. So this number is base 1. Label that. Base 2 is going to be right here. This is base 2. Now my height, they're trying to trick you. They put 2 numbers here and they want you to get it wrong. Remember what I told you, to find the height, it has to be straight up and down. Okay? Again, think of like you're going to the doctor. When they measure you, you have to be standing straight. This line right here is standing straight. This one is kind of slanted, so I'm going to put an X on that because we don't even need that number. They added that number so they can confuse you. This is my height. Okay, so if you look at the formula, it looks like I have everything I need to plug in and solve. So we're going to go ahead and start plugging in. My base 1 was 8. My base 2 is 12. And my height is 5. And I'm going to divide the whole thing by 2 by the end of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and start solving. I'm going to first solve what's inside the parentheses, 8 plus 12, which is 20. And then I'm going to have my 5 outside. Now I'm going to solve 20 times 5. 20 times 5 is 100. And I still have to divide it by 2. Okay, so I'm almost finished. What's half of 100? 50. So A is equal to 50. My measurement is cm squared. Okay, you need to be careful with these. They're going to add some extra numbers, but make sure you know the difference. Okay, and the last one, you are going to finish it. I'm just going to show you how it needs to be done. So what is the area of the figure below? The figure here is a parallelogram. Okay, so that is going to be base times height. A equals to base times height. This one's pretty easy. You're just multiplying 2 numbers, but we have 3 numbers here. My base, remember my base is going to be right here. This is your base, but they gave us 2 numbers. They want to confuse you with the height. Okay, again, height is up and down, straight up and down. This one is kind of slanted. That is not my height. 6 is going to be your height. Sometimes they'll give you this little line here. That's going to kind of tell you that's the height too. So what I'm going to do now is plug in my numbers, 9, and I'm going to multiply that times 6. So multiply those 2 numbers and you will get your answer. Don't forget your measurements. Should be measurement squared. Okay, multiply those 2 numbers, put that in there. So you need to finish example 2, 4, and 6 by yourself. Okay,